All right, hi YouTube, hi world. Welcome back to another Let's Play video, Eurofront. It's been a few days now since I played, and make sure everything is running smoothly here. Audio sounds pretty good. Hopefully it's not too loud. I gotta learn how to talk a little bit away from the mic. But we're gonna continue on and play this game. This game, I'll tell you now, is a tough game to play, especially when you have these big kind of shifts in the war. In the last turn, I think the biggest shift we saw was this really impressive Soviet breakthrough out here in the Central Front. Essentially, the Soviet army retook Kursk. This was their winter 1942 offensive, and it paid off. Let me tell you, it was really impressive. And so now, from the Third Reich's perspective, the whole war just seems to be uncertain because the progress towards push onto Baku seems really tough. And then likewise, the whole entire Mediterranean campaign has shifted with the Allied landings here in, basically this whole area, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. Now, there's one thing that I haven't done, or rather I did incorrectly in the last file, which was that I forgot to actually do the acclimatization rules for the American forces that were landing from the west. And so I'm going to pull up that rule book real quick and just show you all what I'm talking about. We go to the Mediterranean front, Med front, and there is that acclimatization rule, and I'm about 99% sure that it applies to any unit that is arriving in this theater. It doesn't matter if it's even arriving from the Atlantic side where the Allies had better supply paths. They're still going to suffer from this acclimatization rule, in part because the terrain and the roads and the infrastructure are just really limited. And so here it is all units entering the Med front from another front immediately lose 2 CV. And so this doesn't only apply to the units that have landed, but they also are going to apply to the HQs that we've sent over as well. So I'm going to have to do some modifications to kind of compensate for that. So the first thing I'm going to do is all the units, except for this one French unit, all the units that are going to arrive are going to suffer from this acclimatization rule. They're all going to be reduced down to 2. So that significantly reduces the combat power for the Americans and the British both. So that's the first thing. The other thing was that I'm actually pretty sure. I have to look at the old file again, but this occurred in the month of November. And let's see here. I'm pretty sure actually one of the American units arrived in. I'm pretty sure we deployed this HQ unit already in Algiers. We landed in October, that much I do know. And then these 2 units arrived. So I'm actually going to take that back. One of the American units, specifically the 2nd American Corps, will not be penalized from this effect because it already arrived in Algiers, and I'm pretty sure that rule says that the units arriving there, this excludes reinforcements arriving in the Med front, so maybe their supplies came with them a little more easily. So that's one thing to keep in mind. What other units are going to suffer? Well, technically this British HQ here will also suffer from acclimatization. It should be a -2 as well. So I think what I'm going to do instead, we're just going to send it to Gibraltar so that it doesn't suffer from the acclimatization penalty. I think it just makes more sense for it to be there than anywhere else. Other than that, the other thing to keep in mind is supply maintenance costs. We've also had that happening in the last game as well, or it's just something that is common. And it basically applies to units that are not actually originally designed to operate in the Mediterranean front. So basically any unit that doesn't have that little E basically is going to suffer from acclimatization. So MF, but are exempt from desert maintenance when Morocco or Tunis Istanbul based. So technically this British unit is going to suffer from acclimatization. And I believe both American units are good, but this HQ is also going to suffer from acclimatization. Or I keep saying acclimatization, I meant to say supply maintenance. And then we also have this French unit that technically also is going to suffer from acclimatization as well. It doesn't have an E. So we're dealing with added costs. I mean, I have to consider the months. So take, for example, the month of November. I'm pretty sure most of these units arrived in the month of November. It was actually this French unit was there at the end of the month of October. So that's going to be a -5 already. Then when we turn to the month of November, I'm pretty sure, or I guess now would be the month of December. We had a bunch of reinforcements arrive. This unit was there from the way beginning as well. I'm pretty sure this unit was in Iran. So that's going to be another -5. So we're already at -10 just for the month of October. For the month of December, they're going to also suffer from another -5, another -5. So that's another -20. And then plus this HQ is also going to suffer from the acclimatization rule because it has no E. And so it's also going to experience, it would have been a -5 for the production month of December. So altogether, I think that's -25 production points, including the months of November and December. Now we're in the month of January. And as we do this next production sequence, we're going to suffer additional desert maintenance, basically. And so that's going to be another -5, -5, -5. So altogether, it's -40 for the Western Allied powers as far as desert maintenance that went pretty much for the next 3 production sequences. And so I just wanted to point that out because I didn't make the mistake of presuming that there was no desert maintenance on the western side of North Africa, nor was there any acclimatization penalties for the landing units, the Allied landing units. So that's going to significantly change the Allied strategic situation. Nevertheless, they still succeeded at taking Tunisia. And geographically speaking, that's like the biggest win by far. So since we're playing as I'm going to switch back to the Axis, actually. We're going to start the production with them, given how both the Soviets and the Allies have the strategic initiative on all fronts, given that the month is winter on the Eastern Front, and given how the Second Front diplomatic event already occurred on the Western Front. So we'll switch over to the Axis and start their production sequence pretty much. The Axis situation is, I would say, not great, not terrible. We decided to pretty much completely abandon our push on Egypt. Kind of an awkward strategic move, but it's with the idea of trying to preserve Libya. Because as soon as Libya falls, or Sicily, or Sardinia, if one of these 3 areas fall, or Albania, although that's a little further away, if one of these 4 areas fall, Italy becomes demoralized, and the chances of Italy's surrender goes up significantly. Once Italy surrenders, then all the Italian units are going to be deleted from the board. And if that were to happen, the entire southern flank will be exposed to an Allied push. Not to mention the Allies also gain naval supremacy once they control this middle seaway that goes to the Mediterranean. So clearly, Libya is the only remaining colony. So as long as the Axis are able to protect Libya, as well as Sicily and Sardinia for however long they can, then they should be in good shape. The only problem is that how feasible that is, it's hard to say. So we're going to start the production sequence, and now we're officially in 1943, and so new year. But clearly, I would argue, I think it's clear as day that the strategic initiative has now switched over, in large part favors the Allies on all fronts, at least a little while longer before the summer arrives in 1943. So, plus, given the success of the Soviet army that went toe-to-toe with the best of German units, they actually destroyed not 1, but 5 full-strength German corps, including a mech corps and an armored corps. These losses are on the scale of Stalingrad, if not bigger. You can do the math. A German division, on average, was probably anywhere between, depending on the year, but it was about maybe 14,000, 15,000 troops. I think in 1941, they may have been as high as 18,000, right? We're presuming about 4 divisions per unit. So, about 60,000 troops, give or take, per formation, and 5 units were lost. We're talking about casualties on the order of the Battle of Stalingrad, right? 5 corps were destroyed. The Battle of Stalingrad, I think it was something similar. About 5 corps, give or take, were destroyed, plus There was all these casualties that the Axis had sustained leading up to the actual encirclement. So there's that. So we're going to start the sequence. Might as well start with Eastern Front production. I think we'll do that. Or maybe, I'm actually going to go, no, I take that back. I'm going to actually, we'll start with the Eastern Front. And we'll see what the Axis have. Right now it is, says here 89. I'm pretty sure their production should be 79. I think it should be 79 because I remember transferring production over to the Western Front. And so now the Western Front production is at, according to what I have here, I believe it should be at 27. In fact, I'm missing an icon, which is really strange. So maybe I may have to open up another log file just to be absolutely sure of the production sequence. I mean, I can count the production, right, overall. Eastern Front should be 79. Western Front, if I go all the way back, I'm pretty confident in saying that the Western Front production is at. Oh no, here it is. There it is. It's right there. Wow, it's hidden in plain sight. The reason why I was confused is because it has the Western Front marker. Okay, so excuse me, is that 26 production, not 27? And that makes sense because we just lost Tunisia, or Tunis specifically. Oh, actually, not only did we lose Tunis, but I'm pretty sure Algiers also offers production, right? No, excuse me, it's just Tunis, that one production point. Okay. So with 26 production point, what do the Axis want to spend? And it's hard to say. I mean, that's a lot of production points. It's really good, but we got to figure out like what's the game plan here. I'm noticing that the German units, we have a lot of units, but they're all under strength, and they're all just spread out, right? And so that's the fundamental problem I'm seeing, is that we have units. Half of them are militia units, which are really not great, and then the other half are just infantry, and the infantry are just not good enough. They're like level 3 infantry. You know, they're not very strong against the going toe-to-toe with the Axis. So I'm also getting these smaller army groups. So I'm thinking of putting an army group C, I think, in northern Italy. And I'm also considering the possibility of abandoning Italy altogether. I mean, Italy has, 3 production points? I mean, that's going to add up. But most of the production for the Axis in Italy is in the north. And I'm thinking, you know, if I really want to maximize my defense in this conflict, I think it's advantageous for me to focus on Eastern Front as much as possible. But the Western Front, I mean, I'm willing to give up some territory, even though the territory has valuable production sites, right? I mean, 2, 1, Greece is another 2. So it's hard to say, I mean, what the best plan of action is. But clearly, I mean, there's so much advantageous mountainous terrain here in the Balkans. We could definitely establish a pretty, what I would consider to be a pretty strong defense out here in this area. But there's still a lot of vulnerabilities, right? I mean, Adriatic Sea could be vulnerable if once the Allies gain naval supremacy. So, you know, I just got to make sure we have a decent strategic plan. I think southern France, to me, would be far more vulnerable. France in general looks to me far more vulnerable than Italy at the present moment. So I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going to want to prioritize my defense. Other things to consider. Obviously, the Italians are still in the war now, but for how much longer? So I'm going to just deploy those units. I'm going to build up this HQ. I mean, I guess I'm just going to build up OKW. That leaves me with only 6 production points left. And you can already tell, like, you know, I just don't have enough HQs, right? This Army Group G is at level 1. OKW is at level 2 now. This Army Group C is at level 1, but it's completely out of position. And then my defense of, say, northern France even is a little out of whack as well. So, you know, we don't know where the Allies are going to attack. We don't know when they're going to attack, and not knowing is probably the greatest challenge of them all. I guess the other thing to consider is try to make sure that my militia units, as many of them as possible, are ready for combat, right? I also have this OBW. I have plenty of HQs, right? But I just don't have any production points to build them up. So that is a real Real freaking nuisance, I'll tell you now. It is a complete and total nuisance. So, and also keep in mind that these these units can't even be built up all that well. So it is tough. At least Marseille can be defended, has double defense, but right now this defense is literally the equivalent to a Russian defense. So with the remaining 6, I think I'm just going to build up as many militia units as I can. And a level 1, I mean, that's nothing. So these militia units to me are just garbage. I'm not impressed by these militia units that much, and they cost pretty much the same as the actual infantry, but you can't even move them around operationally. They can only be moved around strategically. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to put as many units as I can in the Netherlands. And then I think I'm going to have to start transferring units out of the Netherlands. These armies are just too valuable. I think I'm going to have to move them to the south. I want as many armies as I can. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and build up this guy here as well. That's that. So that's going to sum up, that's going to sum up the Western Front production. I also could consider, just canceling my Mediterranean Front production altogether. Maybe this is a time to actually strategically pull out of the Mediterranean Front. Let the Allies steamroll the Mediterranean Front. That way I actually have, this Africa Corps, these armored units are still very powerful. Right now, once I transfer them over to the mainland, they're gonna go back to double fire, so they won't have the quadruple fire advantages that they had in Libya. But these units could actually act as an effective counteroffensive weapon. Not to mention, I'm not spending away my production points on essentially, what would be called the Allied naval interdiction. Right, the supply interdiction, right, and that's mainly in part because of Malta. So strategically, I mean, Malta right now is really a real thorn in our position. It almost makes it untenable to hold onto Libya. So I'm thinking the best course of action is just to pull out altogether. There's no real need to hold on to Libya. Well, there's clear strategic needs, but I think I'd rather preserve the health of my ground forces than actually hold on to Libya. Now, that's just my general take right now. It may not be the right analyses, but it's kind of what my impression of the war is right now. Now, Mediterranean Front production is real good. It's 30 production points, is even more than the Western Front. So clearly I'm making, the Mediterranean the priority right now. But maybe I don't. Maybe I actually transfer another 5 over to the Western Front. In fact, I might do that. That gives me 5 more production points, and then I could actually build up more infantry, which I think is what I want to do. Maybe start building up. I probably won't build up the Italians because they're going to be very prone to surrendering. But I do think I want to build up other units. Also, the fact that the Allies control Tunis, I mean, that's a huge inconvenience. I mean, this Tyrrhenian Sea is under their control, so it's hard to protect Sardinia, for example. So it's a tough situation. I think the Western Front should take priority. So you know what? Sorry, Mediterranean Front. I think you're going to go back down to 25, and then I'm going to gain 5 more. I'll cancel one of my militia builds. So then that's going to give me 8, and then with that 8, I can actually build up some infantry. So let's do that. Let me build this unit at Marseille. There we go. Now it's at full strength. That seems a little bit more reasonable. Okay, so that seems all right. And then we'll do the production here. Mediterranean Front looks pretty good. I'm getting 6, 5, that's 11, plus 2, that's 13, plus another 10. We're at 23 production over here in Libya. Clear as day to build up the HQs. So that's going to be 15. That leaves me with 8 left. Man, with 8 left, I can't even build. Was it really 23? Was not 24? Are you freaking kidding me? Yeah, I guess we're going to have to just, I can't build up that mech unit. I could build up this guy, that's 4. I said 8 left, right? So I could build up, that's 4. But yeah, it's not much. I guess we'll just go ahead and build up this 10th army. So that was, altogether I spent 21 production points. And that's it. That's all we can afford, really. So with that, we're going to now switch over to the Eastern Front production, which is at 79. And the Soviets clearly, I mean, they had a stunning attack. And that was in part because that was very strategically done. I made sure to preserve the Soviet tank armies. And I think the last offensive showed that the Soviet tank armies are just as good as the German Panzer Corps. So, you know, right now we do have, you know, the equivalent of 3 German armies holding the Central Front, but the Soviets do have the numerical advantage, right? And if they launch another offensive and they break through and they inflict as many casualties as they did in the last turn, you know, this Central Front's not going to hold out for much longer. And so I'm thinking strategically, it's time to pull out. You know, so you'll see in a moment what I'm going to do. But we'll definitely build up OKH, without a doubt our most important unit. So that's going to bring us down from 79 to 69. Definitely build up this field HQ. That's another 10. So now we're at 59. HQ strength is looking really good though. You know, all I got to do is actually transfer them into that sector, but they're looking pretty good. But as far as actual manpower, it's not looking very good for the German army. It's looking quite inconvenient, if you ask me. It is definitely an inconvenience. But yeah, I'm thinking it'd also be nice if we still took Sevastopol. I'm wondering even if we can like fortify this area, but that's only going to really work if we take Sevastopol, which we may or may not do. It's kind of an expensive operation. So anyways, 69 production points left. With that 69, I mean, let's make sure all these units are at full strength. It's the least we can do. So that's going to be, oops, that's another 12. This guy is 4 plus this guy, that's 8. So that leaves me now from 69, or excuse me, I think I'm at 59, right? I built 2 HQs. Started with 79, 69, 59. Right, so now with 59 left, 59 minus 12 is 47. And I think the 47 that I'm going to go ahead and build up is... oh, and actually, I'm wondering, did we gain finish production? According to this, I did not, but oh no, we did. So I don't know if I already included that into this Eastern Front or not. It's been a few days, folks. I have reason to believe that the production should be 3 points higher than what it was. And it is. It's 80. It should be. It's actually. I said 79, but it's actually 82. Excuse me. So yeah, my mistake. So it would be 82 minus 20 is, what is that? 62. 62 minus 12. That leaves us with 50 production points at the present moment, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But the question is what do we want to build up? Right, our HQs are looking pretty good, but we need more. We need more units, right? Clearly, but it is quite a competition with the Soviet army. So I'm thinking. I mean, I want to transfer as many units as I can to the Western Front right now, and kind of make the Western Front the strategic priority, at least for 1943, and try to beefing up our defenses there. And then the Eastern Front, we'll see what the plan is over there. But for dead POW builds, oh, you know what? I could have built up this Libyan unit over here, actually. Maybe I do that. Instead of building up the, it's more cost effective, right? And I can reduce this guy back to 3, and then build this guy up to full strength. Oh, excuse me. Full strength. There we go. That's much better. Okay. Excuse me there. So with 50 production points, I can build up this dead POW. Each of these is like 6, 12, what is that, 18? 6, 12, 18. This guy here costs, I believe, 12. So it's already 30. And then this guy, I think, costs 9. So that would be 39 production points if I decided to build all these units up to full strength. And that would leave me with another 11 left for the Eastern Front. So maybe not build up that mech core. I'm pretty sure it's cost 9, the cadre. Yep. So if I decide not to build that, that's still 30. That leaves me with 20 left. And I think with 20, we can definitely build up some more infantry and other units to full strength. So that's 1. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. How about 4? And then one more build, right? Maybe we should build up the Dido HQ, come to think of it. 39 plus 5 would bring me up to 44. That would still leave me with 6. So I have one more unit that I can build up. No, we can wait on the Dido situation a little while longer. But pretty much one more unit that I can build up. But all the German units are pretty much at full strength. That's the biggest irony right now, is that all the German units are basically at full strength. So with only 4 more production points left, and I don't really have any other units that I really want to build up right now. Question is what else do I want to build? So, what to build? That is the fundamental question right now. Maybe also build up this HQ might be a pretty good investment. So maybe I'll cancel one of the infantry builds, and that will be another 6, and then go ahead and I guess build up. No, we'll focus on the infantry builds. You know, and it's also interesting to me that on the next turn, I think the Axis may be actually, we may not even be able to build up all our units at full strength on the next turn. Yikes. That would be pretty awkward, wouldn't it? So with 4 more production points left, I mean, what is there to build? There isn't much. So I'm actually going to cancel this infantry build, and then I guess might as well build up a Panzer Corps. Build up this guy over here. Pretty sure he's going to transfer it over to the Central Front. But yeah, that's that. Not much more to build on the Eastern Front. Not much more to build. So I got to also figure out, you know, I have this other fortress unit over here. Where would I want to put it? I would imagine I want to put it somewhere here in the center. Also, do we get any more reinforcements? Like any more fortress units? No, there's no more fortress units for the rest of the conflict. So, man, I may even have to transfer that fortress unit over to the east, to the Western Front right now, because I thought I would get more than what I currently have. I think, yeah, I did. I got 2 more. Yeah, I did. I got 2 more, but I'm pretty sure there was another one, wasn't there? There was another one that we had here that was destroyed. Oh, I know where it is. I transferred over to Smolensk. That's right. Yeah. So, like I say, the strategic situation pretty tenuous. Now, as far as production on the Eastern Front, Bryansk is only 1 production point. It's nothing. But Kharkov and of course essentially the Donetsk industrial basin, this region is where we've got a lot of our production, and also Leningrad. So I mean, hypothetically, if the German army were to pull back, you know, our production wouldn't change all that much, which is something to take note of. But the only problem is that if we decide to pull out, we're going to have to abandon this fortress area that we worked so hard to build up. That's the only, I would say, real weakness of our situation. But still might be possible that we can actually establish what I hope to be a pretty good defense. So we'll see. We'll see what this year holds. Next turn, I got to think about the production on the next turn. With a whopping 82 production on the Eastern Front, it's crazy to me how we really have nothing to build up. You know, so I'm going to go ahead and deploy all these units that over here, right? I guess I'll put, I'll put 1 infantry, 2 infantry there. I'll put another 2 infantry there. And, so next turn, we can go do 4, 8, 16, what is that, 20, right? 20 on reinforcements. There's only a quarter of our production, and then we still have some understrength units that we could build up, but not that many. And then all that's left are really the HQs, which are looking pretty freaking good, if you ask me. There may be even an incentive to actually pull out one of our HQs, transfer it over to the Western Front, which we could do as well. So, in other words, the Eastern Front, so what was that? That was, how much did I spend, or how much was that? That was 12, what is that? Another 20, yeah, that's 20, plus 2 HQs, maybe 3, you're looking at 50, that still leaves me with 30 left. And then with that 30, I mean, I can build up another infantry, I could build up, some Panzer Corps. So that's the other thing to point out. I have so much production on the Eastern Front. It's almost like it would have been fine if I actually had the units to supply the forces with, and instead we're dealing with this massive shortage of ground units. It's a real pain right now. While the Western Front has all these extra units, but they're all completely starved. And so maybe there's another incentive to transfer production over to the Western Front, right? Once again, that would definitely disrupt their strategic plans for an offensive against the Soviet Army in 1943, meaning that I may be foregoing an offensive altogether, or maybe it's an incentive for us to launch a counteroffensive right now. And that's something else to take note of. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting next turn, I think. But that is it. That's all we've got for production on this turn. And I think I've spent it all, right? I think I did. So, definitely incentive to attack Sevastopol, in other words. And I think we may actually end up doing that. Okay. So, we're going to switch over to the Allies side now, Allied and Soviets both. We'll focus on the Western Front first. Now, keep in mind there's that minus 40 production penalty that I just mentioned. The Allied production right now on the Western Front is what? Mediterranean Front and Western Front combined, the Western Front production, according to this, is 26. So that's going to be just completely cut off down to 0. And then the Mediterranean Front production, the Western Front production was at 28, rather. And so, 28 minus 40 is negative 12. And then the Mediterranean Front is at 35. 35 minus that 12 puts you at, what is that, 23? So I'm going to, with 23 dice rolls, how about we just cancel the entire Mediterranean Front production? It's 35, and then another 5 from the Western Front. Something like that. I got to figure out like the balance there. Most of it, actually, yeah, that makes sense since most of it's going to be Mediterranean Front, what you may call it, desert maintenance. So we're going to forego the Allied production just to, make up for the fact that the last few turns we forgot to incorporate that. So 35, minus 40 is negative 5. That negative 5 now 28 minus negative 5, or 28 plus negative 5 is basic algebra. Okay, 28 minus 5 is what I'm trying to say. That leaves us with 23 production for the Western Allies. Not a whole lot. And so with 23, I mean, what do they want to spend? Well, let's go ahead and build up this HQ here. Okay, so that's going to be another 10. And then let's build up this guy, and that's another 10 as well. And that's it. That's all we can really afford. So I'm beginning to realize that maybe we don't need to have as many allied units in North Africa as I was expecting. And I'm beginning to realize the consequences of deploying these HQs in the wrong areas. Also, do we get any more reinforcements for the allies? Not until April. Okay, so we'll start with the ally turn now. So that was a pretty easy production for the allies. And then there's 3 production points left. I mean, I guess might as well just build up this militia unit, right? I'm not sure what else to build up. We'll just build this guy up. Okay, now we can start the Western Ally production, or movement rather. And what is it that we're going to try to do? Well, since most of the American, or at least one of the American units is pretty under strength, you know, they can just hang out out there for now. I think we got to put the right HQ in over there. So I'm actually going to activate the Allied Field HQ, and we're going to do some Supreme moves. So like I can do 2 Supreme moves. Actually, I'm just going to do 1 Supreme move there, and then I'm going to do 3 Supreme moves. 1, 2, 3. Move it to Gibraltar. I'm just switching these 2 guys out, trying to avoid naval maintenance as best I can, and we're going to just try to like organize that basically. So that's it. Pretty straightforward move there for the allies. Nothing else that we can really do, right? I mean, these units are pretty much all stuck because our field HQs, Mediterranean front HQs, they're all under strength. They all are. So I think we're going to do a lot of passing on this month for the allies while we build up our production on the Mediterranean front, deal with the desert maintenance, and then plan our next moves. Maybe there's an incentive to attack Norway, perhaps. I also should probably roll for mud. It's a roll of 3 on the Western Front. So that's going to be the Mediterranean basin that actually has sea storms. Okay, so that means that no amphibious invasions, I don't think, can occur during storms. Let's double check. I'm still learning the rules, right? A little bit by bit. But it says no sea invasion movement. Yeah, it's possible. Also, yeah, there's like supply limitations there as well. But when you look at the allies, I mean, we've got 3 beachhead markers all ready to go. So once the weather clears up, they should be ready to go. We'll also do another dice roll for the Eastern Front, checking for storms. We rolled a 5, so that's going to go to the Arctic Basin. It's already there. Okay. Soviet turn. You know what? I just realized I completely forgot about the Soviet production. My bad. Let's do that as well while we're at it, right? Oopsie daisies. Soviet production is 61, right? 61, which is pretty good, pretty consistent. We're gonna build up Stavka. Let's build up all these field HQs, and I think we're gonna continue the offensive. We're gonna try to push onto Kharkov or something like that, or maybe no. I think what I said was we're going to actually like try to build up the Soviet reserves as best as we can, so that our 1943 year is a lot easier than before. So anyways, that's 3 production builds. Maybe we should build up these units a bit more. Try to build them up, at least have a few full strength units, right? So yeah, let's build up some units here. So I am left with 31 production. So that's 2. This is going to now be 5. 7. 9. Okay, 9. What else? Let's build up all our shock armies. Now we're at 15. And I just want to have most of my units. Also, let's build up this cavalry. So that's 18. So that leaves me now with what? I believe 13 left. And then with that 13, let's try to build up some of these units too. So that's another 4. That leaves me with 9 left. Oh yeah, let's build up these guys. That now leaves me down to 6. Our defense here at Tbilisi looks fantastic. It really does. We got a lot of units stacked up there. So there's that. What else? What else do we want to build up? So I have 6 left, right? I think with the remaining 6, I think we're looking pretty good. I wanted to build up more infantry. Let's go ahead and build up this cavalry corps. Put it right there. Yeah. Okay. But my strategic goal is that I think during the mud season that's coming up, right, between winter and summer, we're going to try to build up all these tank corps and possibly even the mech corps. And then we should have a pretty reasonably sized Red Army. Also quite clear that we should try to launch an offensive, you know, that way sooner rather than later. But the problem is that I have to get a lot of Soviet units in position. So anyways, we can do the Soviet movement now. And the real question is what movements do I even want to do? I'm going to activate Stavka. And I think what I'm going to do is, yeah, we'll advance the shock army, put it there. That's one move. What's another move we can do? Let's get these units from Saratov. Let's pull them out. Let's start getting them closer to the front, if at all possible. I'm going to put this unit right here. And then I'm going to move this guy. This is another infantry unit. Probably move it to Stalingrad. Honestly, we can just leave it there. It's kind of out of position anyways. In fact, a lot of Soviet units here. No, let's move this guy to Stalingrad. And then so that's one strategic move. Here's another. Two strategic moves. Or actually, you know what? Maybe it's best that I move it to the south. Yes. Hold on. So that's I did 1. Here's another one. 2. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Nice cluster of Soviet formations. Actually, only makes more sense to actually get this guy, make this guy move over here, and the guy with more firepower. Let's move it to the south. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, little out of position. So it was 1, 2. Let's move this guy up, or actually no, move this guy up here. No, we'll move him up. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 2 more strategic moves I want to do. Oh, we got this other unit here. 5. How about that? And then maybe we'll do something like, no, I don't know. The Soviet flank there is a little vulnerable. So anyways, we're gonna go 1, 2, I did 3. No, cancel this move. It's too far away. We'll move this guy over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, like that. That's better. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Got 2 more. Let's get these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Put this guy there. And then this guy probably that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's pretty good. Stalingrad, of course, is vulnerable. It is very vulnerable. So you know what? We're gonna send that guy back. Then we're just going to, you know what? Stalingrad looks way too vulnerable to an encirclement even. You know, all the Germans have to do is move a mech corps or whatever right there and we're in trouble. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just do that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. That's Stavka for you. We're not doing any combat for this turn. No. And you know what? I'll get this. I'll put this guy in Voronezh like that. Okay. Interesting. Kind of a weird setup, but it should work. Just trying to fill in this empty space. We're gonna switch over now. Probably would have helped if I actually started a log file, right? Okay. I'm gonna switch over now to the Axis now. See what they can do. I think there's clear incentive for the Axis to launch a counteroffensive still, because, you know, we just don't have that many other units to move around. So I'm going to activate OKW. And what I'm going to try to do is get some formations over there. So we're going to move this HQ right there. In fact, we probably want to put it right there. That's 1. It's going to be 1 strategic move. I think I'm going to activate Army Group A. Now, I could try to make an attack on Leninakan, but I think I'm going to hold off because, yeah, the situation just looks pretty untenable. So yeah, I think we're going to try to pull our units back. I think that's the game plan. Just a very smart strategic withdrawal, as smart as I can, pretty much. Hopefully we can buy some time. And then we'll deactivate Army Group A. And I think we'll put it there. Okay, and then so that was, yeah. So strategic moves, we did 1. Let's get another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that was 2 strategic moves. We're not really ready to pull out. A third strategic move would be this guy. 1. And, oh, so you know what? Let's put this guy there. And then we can go 1, and then this guy, 2, like that. So that's 1, 2. That was 2 strategic moves. 1, 2, 3 strategic moves. Okay, 3. I got 3 more, right? This situation here looks really awkward with Novgorod. We don't really need to protect Novgorod anymore. So I'm going to try to pull these units out. Pull out a Panzer Corps. Let's get them out of there. We don't need them there anymore. No need. So that's 1. So that's 4. I got a few more, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I got 2 more. Two more strategic moves. Let's go ahead and pull out this Panzer Corps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I got only 1 more strategic move left. And I think it's pretty obvious we're going to reinforce that front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And just try to match the Soviets. Of course, this sector is still a little vulnerable, right? It is a little vulnerable, but we do have a very sizably strong, pretty well-sized German formation there. But in theory, the Soviets could take Kharkov on the next turn. They could even launch a very successful breakthrough over here. So I got to be careful. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, pulling that guy out. I kind of wish I could do more. Let's activate this Mannerheim HQ. And I think we're actually going to attack the Soviets over here. Yeah, let's attack in the winter with the Finnish. See how well they can do. So that's one move over there. And then just start considering pulling back out of Soroka or something like that. Any other moves I would want to do? I think I want to put one more unit over here if I can. And then Rostov, of course. If we lose Rostov, technically all our units are going to be out of supplies. So it seems pretty clear to me that the best incentive right now is to really make sure that... oh, hold on. That was another strategic move there too, right? So hold on. 1, 2, 3... I may have done 7, 4, 5, 6. I did 7. Okay, I did one too many moves. Did one too many moves. Oof. Okay, I guess we'll cancel this guy. And then so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What was the last move? 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. I got one more, right? Oh yeah, 6. Okay. Thinking though, you know, I'm trying to like strategically pull out of these mountainous areas because I don't know, the area just seems a bit vulnerable right now. I mean, that move is completely useless. But I get the idea of why I'm trying to do it. I'd rather move it to Rostov, frankly. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 2 more here, and then 1 more in the north. Right, so we have a little bit more production. Yeah, that seems as good as it's gonna get for the German army. And we still have this area here that's a bit vulnerable, right? So actually, I mean, that's presuming the Soviets launch another offensive, which chances are they're not going to be able to. This is where the fog of war element becomes very relevant. But might as well put this Panzer Corps right there. I think that's a little bit easier. You should just feel more confident defending this sector. Yeah. So 2 strategic moves in the center. I did 3 strategic moves here in essentially the southern steppe, and then the last one was up in the north. All right. We do have a German or Finnish offensive, Axis offensive here. Now within home territory, the Finnish have double fire, and we also have this air support, but the air support is going to be single fire for the Finnish. So let's see how this battle goes. Standard Soviet army, airstrikes, no hits. Soviets defend, no hits. Our Finnish fire, and they score 1 half hit. Okay, so we didn't break through, but at the very least, we've pinned down that Soviet army, which is pretty nice. And now we should be able to like start strategically rotating, try to pull out these Axis units, try to get them to Leningrad as soon as possible, and then really start just trying to get as many units moving around. In fact, these units here, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually end up somewhere like Yugoslavia, right, to strengthen our defense. But as far as other Western Front moves, I don't plan on doing anything because I want OKW to be at full strength before I do anything. Okay, so that's that. We'll move on to the next Fortnight. So I'm pretty sure this turn is going to be pretty uneventful overall. Then we're going to switch over to now the allies. Once again, ally production is really slow. We can roll for the storm tables though. 7 and 5 respectively for Western Front, Eastern Front. So 7 and 5. So 7 is the Baltic Basin. 5 is the Atlantic, or is the Arctic Basin. So the Baltic Basin, the Western Baltic Basin now has a storm. Mediterranean front stops with their storms. And then the Arctic Basin is still the same. Okay, there's that. I forgot to deactivate OKH. And then what we're going to do, so we're going to pass for the Western Allied powers. They're not going to do much, or nothing really. What about the Soviets? You know what? Oddly enough, even though it's winter, Soviets are going to pass as well. Why? Because we don't really have any full strength HQs. You know, we did a bunch of blitz. We did at least one big blitz on the last turn. So that HQ is under strength. This HQ is under strength. Stavka has just been spent. So that's that. So we're not going to switch back to the Axis. And, you know, to keep this action, just interesting, I think I'm going to launch a German blitz. And I think we probably should prioritize. Where do you think we should prioritize, right? I mean, Kursk seems to be the obvious target. It would definitely create a gaping hole in the Soviet lines. But the only problem, of course, is that it goes both ways. And if we have a bulge at Kursk, you know, we're going to be vulnerable to Soviet attacks. So that's something to be aware of. But I will say that Kursk would be the best place to put this fortress HQ or fortress unit. Just place it right there, build it up to full strength. And the only way the Soviets are going to be really able to take it is if they try to flank it, right? So that's one option. It will keep the Soviet army very busy throughout, say, 1943. We're going to have to, it's going to be a slugfest, really. But it would be interesting if we could take it back on this turn. We're going to have to figure out something. The alternative option that I could do is try to, maybe launch a blitz here in the south. You know, I got some Panzer units there. Maybe I can try to encircle a Soviet army or Soviet cluster. I doubt I can. You know, given how our next production sequence, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 HQs that I have to build up. So that's already 40 production points. I think I calculated another 30 from building up our reinforcements, right? Right, I was 12 plus another, that's 20 rather. So we're at 7. We're actually 20 plus 40 is 60. And I had 82 total. And then, I mean, the question is what other units do I want to build up? I don't have many, right? I don't have that many. I mean, I can build up some of these guys here. That's another 16. I guess it actually does make sense if we were to pass on this turn. But I will tell you, it would be pretty exciting to launch an offensive right now and just try to keep the Soviet army a bit off balance, right? The only problem is that we don't have that many reserves. So if I do decide to blitz and try to push on Belgorod, you know, who's going to defend the other sectors? Right now, I'd argue that most of my sectors are pretty much stacked up as it is. And I'd rather not have to worry about building up reinforcements. So I'm actually going to pass for the German army. We'll hand over the Soviets that strategic initiative, which I probably may regret. Or, you know what I could do? Maybe attack all these areas. In fact, maybe I should attack all these areas and just try to contest all the areas and see how that goes. And then maybe we just don't have to worry about a Soviet counteroffensive if all the Soviet units are pinned down. Let's try that. So I'm actually going to attack with as many panzer groups as I can. And the idea is to kind of create like a defense, kind of like an offensive defense, if that makes sense. You know, we're just trying to defend offensively while establishing a defense all at the same time. Can only attack with 3 units there. And I mean, already I can tell you now, we have a massive shortage. We have a serious manpower shortage right now. like super serial. Hold on, I'm gonna do that sequence all over again. We'll start from the south. And I just want to make sure I have enough units to protect everywhere. We're tagging with 3 units there. Really don't have any units in the center, which is a serious problem. You know, and in fact, we simply just may not have enough manpower to pull it off. We may not have enough manpower to pin down all the Soviet units as I had hoped. Yeah, I don't have enough manpower. That seems to be kind of the fundamental problem I'm seeing right now. You know, we're attacking with not our full potential. In fact, it looks like, I mean, if I were to start the sequence all over again and I just look at the whole situation in hindsight, you know, I'm pretty sure the short answer is just that we don't have enough ground units. We just don't have enough. We have 12 units right now, right? Plus 13, 14, 15. I'm trying to put 3 there, I'm trying to stock up 11 units. I should, right? No, so excuse me, I miscounted. I have 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 units actually. If we do decide to launch this attack, it's clear to me that, you know, it's clear to me that we're gonna have to activate OKH rather, a second time if we want this sequence to work. But I think it's worth it. We're gonna activate OKW, and I think we're gonna go for it. I mean, the Soviets did such a number on us. They don't have any reserves right now. All the reserves are stacked up right here at the front. So I'm really thinking if we can just pin down just a few Soviet formations, should be enough. So let's see if this works. We'll move this guy up, move a panzer group, attack. It's probably best to attack with just the panzer infantry combo. But no, we'll send some mech units forward as well. And then this guy can go like this. And then, yeah, we'll... Or you know what? I think I'm actually going to just stick to that. We'll focus on 2 hexes rather than a bunch more. And then, of course, the other thing I have to keep in mind is figure out where do I want to move around the reinforcements. Because I can only move 4 reinforcements around right now, right? Well, let's move these 2 Panzer Corps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, 9, 10. Those are some juicy units, aren't they? Nice. That looks really good, actually. And then we will transfer these 2 Panzer Corps, I guess, over here. It's gonna be hard for the Soviets to break through. That's the idea. And then that's 2 strategic moves. I want to do another strategic move. I think I'm gonna activate this HQ actually, and try to get my. So I got 2 more strategic moves, right? Let's pull back. These reinforcements are all under strength, so I think we can hold off on that a little while longer. I could move up this fortress unit, though. Maybe I can put it in Kharkov and fortify it there. Not a bad move. That only leaves me with 1 strategic move left, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to go ahead and activate this Mannerheim HQ. We're going to have it move double march this unit to Soroka, right over there, just so that it can reinforce that area, pin down the Soviets, and then we should be able to start pulling back some other Axis units sooner rather than later. What else can we do? What other? I got 2 more strategic moves for the German army. Still 2 more strategic moves, right? Gotta figure out what the best combo here is. Yeah, and I guess the other thing to point out is that although our attacks look nice, I think, you know what? I think we are gonna attack over here. We'll see if this works, because this is a huge gamble for the German army, I'll tell you now. Huge gamble. And if it fails, I mean, we're pretty much in deep trouble for the rest of the war on the Eastern Front. I think what I'm going to do, got 2 more moves, right? Let's just do this. I'm going to pull back the 54th Corps to that area, Petekolp, and then we'll move another regular corps to Kharkov like that. Yeah. I'll move this guy up. Okay, that way we are attacking with a fuck ton of units. It's all going to come down to good dice rolls, but we do have double fire, although technically this HQ is disrupted. So the question is where do we want to provide that fire support? Let's provide it to where we're attacking with the weakest amount of units. Let's do that. So we'll see how this goes. I kind of want, the Soviets had such great success on the last turn, I kind of want a little bit of payback, and hopefully this is that payback. Now we do have combat support for all these areas, so let's try out this battle here. Starting with the north. Soviets look very strong. Airstrike, nothing. Soviets fire, they got 6 and 6, double fire, single fire. They only score 1 hit. That's what I'm talking about. Roll the German Panzer Corps, and we just scored 3 hits, 4 hits with the infantry. There we go. A little bit of payback. So it's 1, we said 4 hits, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So the Soviets are, you know, they're still strong, but they're not as strong as before. Then we have the Battle of Kursk, directly on Kursk. Soviets have, it looks like 5 and 6, double fire, single fire, respectively. 2, and then 4, 2. No hits for the Soviets. Wow. Panzer Corps is double fire, followed by 12 single fire. 2, 3, 4. We only scored 1 hit there. We would have scored 4 if that worked, but we're still got one more battle here. Battle of Belgorod, town of Belgorod. Soviets have 6 and 4, double fire or single fire respectively. They scored 2 hits, nothing that the German army can't sustain. And then now we have 8 and 6, double fire or single fire respectively. We scored 4 hits. Nice. And just like that, we've put a lot of strategic pressure on the Soviet army. Was that 4 hits? Was that really 4 hits? That was. Holy crap. And you can see now, you know, all our German units are like on these offensive defensive positions. I don't know what to call them. Offensive defensive. We're on the offensive, but the strategic goal was just to pin down these Soviet armies. And you can see Soviet armies are really strong when they're attacking as a team, but they are much more vulnerable to enemy attacks. In fact, this whole game, what I'm learning is that formations are more vulnerable on defense than on offense, typically. Not all the time. You need the terrain bonuses to kind of countermeasure that. But when you don't have the terrain bonuses like you would in this open steppe territory, you basically have the attackers have a greater chance of success usually. So now we have 2 HQs. We are contesting Kursk, and or the Kursk salient, and we've actually stopped the Soviet. We've halted the Soviets, and all their main units are now too busy in combat to actually receive any kind of reinforcements, and that was the main goal. Deny the Soviets the ability to build up their armies to full strength because now they're too busy in fighting. In fact, German army may be able to come back with a vengeance. So, thumbs up. Just to let you know, just when you thought the German army was about to lose this war, here you go. I show you a scenario where the Soviets have something planned otherwise. So I think I'm going to stop the video here, and that's that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you all in another video at some point. Peace out.